How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and another entry of Sharing Your Stories, which is a series here on the Vanlife Plus channel where I don't normally bang my elbow on things, but it's been known to happen. It's a series where I am sharing stories that have been sent in by you, members of the community, subscribers of my channel, or supporters over on Patreon. Just their life stories, whether they are nomadic oriented, van life, or otherwise, or if it's just a story about your life and you just happen to enjoy the entertainment that I provide here on the channel and the incredible support of the community that surrounds this channel. That's what these sorts of videos are all about. So, without any further ado, our first story today comes from Katherine. It's also very windy outside. That's not what Catherine's writing, that's just what I'm saying. So I'm attempting to use my microphone again, so hopefully we don't hear any of that nonsense out there. Katherine writes in, she says, "Hi, Matthew and my fellow Luckies. This is such a sharing and caring community that I was compelled to write. My spouse is a cancer patient and has been for going on 9 years. Perhaps someone is going through this experience and either needs support, I am here for you, or has coping ideas for a humble, exhausted, and now short-tempered, burned-out caregiver. Medication in the form of a mild anxiolytic, I'm just going to say mild anxiety medicine, helps me work at an intense full-time job and prevents me from losing my poop entirely. This is not intended to be a poor me/us. It is about having a dream and a goal, even if they cannot be fulfilled right now for whatever the reason may be. Due to my spouse's health, being nomadic even on weekends is like nailing jello to a wall with a hot nail, but it doesn't stop the dream. For years, even before van life, I had the dream of living and working in some type of tiny mobile home. An introvert by nature, the dream began when I decided a simple and serene life was necessary for my well-being. Not being independently wealthy, working full-time is a reality, but then I pondered, what about working from wherever I wanted and without leaving my home? Genius, right? I have been a bean counter by trade for a long time, but did go back to school and trained as a medical transcriptionist, so I could ultimately work from any place I want, no matter where I was parked. I would visualize an RV, but then tripped across van life, and the dream evolved. A van now strikes my fancy versus an RV, especially with our winter weather, hurricane-force winds, and gas prices here in northern BC. I also like the idea of stealth, for no other reason that I am introverted and like to go unnoticed. This channel makes me laugh my ass off daily, either via the vlogs or on Patreon, so thank you. The laughs are welcome and needed and so appreciated. This channel and other Luckies encourage me to learn how to do my own home and car repairs, think outside the box, and to not be perfect. In every video, I learn something new, gain great ideas to add to my list of cool stuff to do for my own tiny home and places to visit, i.e. Dinosaur Provincial Park. I love the great music, and you share the most amazing vistas. Watching a simple campfire on the screen makes my blood pressure go down. The live hangs are bliss because I put on the headphones and get the hell out of my own head for a time. I live somewhat vicariously through you and Happy Coffee Van Life, a lot more rarely, even if she does not post much/anything. Sorry, Amber, I had to give you a poke for shits and giggles only. Since living in northern BC, we have been fostering cats that had been so badly abused and typically dumped outside of town and left for the wolves or vehicles. Most were not adopted for obvious reasons, so they stayed. No, I am not a crazy cat lady. I love all animals really, but we have 10 of the little buggers. Some live inside only, and some are not interested in being inside. We are simply a meal ticket, and that's okay. Thankfully, our town now has a non-profit society to take over this dire need, so now I take care of the furs we have, and as they leave for the Rainbow Bridge, the spaces will not be filled. I think 2 cats in a van is a nice number for neck and leg warming purposes, although I am allergic to them too, which really bites when neck warming is required. We also have 2 senior primitive breed dogs. One is a high-content wolf dog named Chuck Norris, because of course he is. The other is a Carlian bear dog named Lilybell, and she ain't no Lily. Banff and Jasper National Parks use the KBD for bear shepherding and aversion training to protect the bears and the people. The KBD is strictly a working companion, not a pet, and I learned that the hard way. Yikes. We do trust her with our lives, though, especially living in grizzly and wolf country. So, for now, living in a vehicle would be problematic. However, dreams are free and comforting, so I dream about the day when I/we can live in a tiny mobile home, if only part-time. There is no shame in being a weekend warrior to test the waters, and because my spouse is usually unable to join in, part-time could only be it. Time will tell. Where we live in northern BC, it is outstandingly beautiful, with loads of places to see and be. Most of it is free, out-of-the-way spots to hunker down for a short time and even have a fire, go paddling, or just sit and listen to the sound of silence. My personal favorite pastime. I have rambled on enough, but for anyone who is dreaming of the nomadic tiny home life, do not lose sight of the dream, and I sincerely hope to meet you on the road one day. Cheers, Kath. You got that right at the end there, for sure. You got a lot right. Not that you got anything wrong. But there is nothing wrong with being a weekend warrior and just doing it when you can. The nomadic way of life, I think, spreads far and wide. And yes, there's obviously those of us that are living it day in, day out, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But even for myself, it all started with camping and the idea of being outside or the idea of being away and doing that stuff. So weekend warrior, nothing wrong with that. Don't let it stop you from doing that if that's all you can do. 100%. Always good to take shots at Amber. She's a trooper and takes it well. I'm glad that you enjoy the channel so much. I truly appreciate your kind words. And I don't blame you that you lean more towards the van from the RV side of things, as I've as I've spoken about before. RVs would definitely be harder. There would be a lot more work involved to like winterize for living purposes an RV versus a van. It could be done, but at what cost? And yeah, there'd be a lot of animals in the van, even if you got your cats down to 2. And of course you're allergic to cats, because everybody I meet who loves cats so much or does all of these incredible things, like take in 10 or more of these animals, of course you're allergic. It's just the way the world works, right? Thank you for writing in, Katherine. I appreciate that. That's a perfect example of kind of what I meant. Dreams and goals and aspirations for van life / the nomadic life, not quite doing it, and enjoying my channel, which is very humbling. Thank you again. And we got another one from one of my Patreon supporters. This one comes from Lisa, otherwise known as Virginia in the Rear View. And Lisa writes in and she says, I've loved listening to the stories sent in by others, so I thought I'd share my story with you and your viewers. Hello, Matthew. I want to start out saying I'm not sure how I came across your channel, but I'm so glad that I did. Your videos are so relatable and entertaining. A little backstory about me. I'm a single mom, 50 years old, and my only son just turned 18. He is a senior in high school, and in the fall will be attending college about 30 minutes from where we currently live. His father and I split up in 2015 and finalized the divorce 2 years later. His dad and I have an amicable relationship and had shared custody. That is, up until a year ago when my son decided he no longer wanted to have a relationship with his dad. I won't get into the specifics, but it was not due to any physical or other abuse. He just simply decided he didn't like certain things about how his dad lived his life, and that was that. I've tried to help them reconcile, but my son doesn't want to. I hate to see this because life is precious, and you never know how long someone will be here. Well, that's enough about my past. Let's focus on the future. I've been preparing to downsize for a few years now. I currently live in a 3-bedroom home with a full basement, most of which is never used. I hate spending so much money to heat and cool stuff. I hate home maintenance. I hate lawn maintenance. I hate paying taxes on something I don't own. The only good thing is my neighbors. They are all wonderful. Fortunately, I'm in a good position as far as equity in my home, and when I decide to sell, I hope to bank a good amount. Since around 2016, I've been obsessed with tiny homes. At first, it was tiny homes on wheels, then it grew to vans and buses. I did lots of research and settled on a shuttle bus to convert into my tiny home. I purchased a 2002 Ford E450 shuttle bus, which has the 7.3-liter diesel engine. It had 127,000 miles on it when I purchased it in July of 2020. From what many people who know these engines say, it likely has 500,000 miles still in it. Let's hope so. It has been parked in my backyard and sometimes on the street in front of my house since then. I haven't driven it much because I've been slowly converting it. As a single mom with only my income, I don't have a whole lot left over after bills and such to invest into the bus. But now that my son is older, I've been taking on some side gigs to build up funds for my conversion. Previous owners of the bus had let the windows leak, which rotted out the floor and the walls under the windows and also rusted completely through a bit of the framing of the bus shell. I completely gutted it from the bottom of the windows down to the frame. A friend helped to replace some of the metal where needed. I took it upon myself to use the rust conversion and POR 15 on the frame to deter any future rust. That was quite an undertaking, but it made me feel so good about myself and gave me the confidence to move forward with building the floor. The bus now has a solid floor and walls, and I am ready to start building it out. This part will take a while, as I plan to go slowly and take the bus for camping trips to see how I will live out of it. The last thing I want to do is build something that is not practical for everyday use. As for when this tiny living will start, well, that is TBD. I was hoping for fall of 2023 when my son goes to college, but now that my home is the only one he'll have to go back to on breaks, I don't think it's fair to him that I just up and go on my merry way, leaving him to figure it out. So the plan for now is to keep the house until at least May of 2024. Hopefully by then he will have an apartment near campus where he can live full time, and then I can start my journey on the road. Oh, and I also currently have a dog that will be my travel partner. She's an Australian Shepherd mix who I named Evie. Yes, after the Pokemon. Currently, I have a full-time job, which I've been at since 2006. Since COVID, I have worked from home. I go into the office on occasion, but what I do doesn't require me to be on site. I sit at the computer for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I love the work I do, and I hope to continue doing it once I am completely mobile. I also hope to help others along my travels and maybe even start making videos for YouTube. While many people have turned to van life out of necessity, my reasons are more out of desire. Desire to break free from what society says I should do, desire to live my life on my terms, and desire to enrich my life with people and places that I would never encounter if I limit myself to what I've always known. This past October, I went to an event called Schoolie Swarm at a campground in Murphy, North Carolina. This is all I wanted for my 50th birthday, which happened to be during the event. Since I didn't have my bus in a condition to take it, I camped in my car. I met so many amazing, loving people that cemented it for me. The first 50 years of my life were dedicated to my family. The rest of my life will be dedicated to myself and helping others to live the life they want to live. Thank you for listening to my story. Lisa Gray, aka Virginia in the Rearview. Thank you, Lisa. That's great. I thank you very much for sharing that story. And that's very amicable of you to stick around so your son has a place to come home to. I mean, I don't know of many mothers out there that wouldn't do that, especially having only one son. That is unfortunate about your son and his dad, but it sounds like you're doing the best that you can, and sometimes those situations just can't be forced, you know? Um, I would like to think that eventually down the line, your son will have a change of heart, obviously, me not knowing anything about the situation, and he'll miss his dad and they will reconcile. But I think for now, the focus and the props should be kept solely on you for doing such a good job, staying focused, and figuring out exactly what it is you want to do with the rest of your life. And the fact that you've got this nice goal in mind, I think, is a great way to go about it. And I understand the slowly building of that, and I understand the desire to move in. You said, yes, a lot of people do van life out of necessity, and you are doing it more so out of desire. Neither way is wrong. And there's some of us, like myself, I'm a bit of an enigma, I suppose, that it was both. It was necessity and desire. And I think in that case, that's definitely a good thing. The worst, I shouldn't even say the worst thing, but the more difficult way of van life is out of necessity. And I can only hope that for those that do live this lifestyle because of that reason, um, they're able to find a little bit of hope and happiness in the life and not focus on the fact that they were forced to do it. You know what I mean? Not that you asked, and that got a little dark right near the end there. Thank you again for writing in. We're going to have a penny jump in. Come on. There you go. Good girl. Thank you. All right. And we got one more here. Let's go, let's go. This comes from Cameron. We've heard his name around the channel quite a bit lately, otherwise known as just Cam and his Jeep. Cam writes in, he says, "Hi, Matthew. I love your vlogs. Period. Well, that's it for this one. Until the next one, just go out there, be happy, be creative." I'm kidding. My story. I deserve no sympathy. I'm just trying to figure out how to live my life. The rest of it. I'm going to say, before I read any more, his subject line was also surviving my Waterloo. So, interesting. He continues, "As much as I really want to nail down how to get into a mobile life, with my Jeep as my loyal companion for the long haul, even if it's not a manual transmission, I make do. That's the story of my life. I make do. I have made do with just a high school education. I didn't even have that when I joined the workforce, but my first mission when I got a job at Microsoft was to secure a high school diploma. Nailed it. I even grabbed my last credit as a life credit as I was a support tech for Microsoft Canada. Of all places. That is the foundation of my career. My life has been a rocky road of depression, ADHD, and stupidity. I failed at even committing suicide in 1989, the year before I began my job at MSFT, Microsoft. I met my wife and was married at 23 years old. Another stupid mistake, aside from having 2 kids by 1997, which was not a mistake if I look at who my kids have become. I was divorced by 1999. My kids and I were close. They care to be sure, but life gets going and they have their lives to live, so I take what I can get. I'm 55 now and still in tech support. I've been a programmer, network admin, and implementer. I've worked for big companies and small, and I've been loved and hated in the many jobs that I've had. The sad thing is I have nothing to show for it, so I'm trying to get things sorted to secure a mobile life that might just work. Renting a bricks and mortar apartment is too expensive to move from, and owning it is an impossibility, so I really don't have a choice. I make a fair wage, but still have nothing left at the end of the month. Funny, eh? A broke Jeep guy. Just enough essential parts, man. I have people around me who love me, and by around I mean they are somewhere, spread across this country, and I mostly feel alone. Being part of various communities gives me fleeting moments of not feeling so alone, but I am. I can't let depression take me, as I made a promise to a friend to outlive her. She is my very best friend, and I have 49 years to go, she figures. This is going to be a rough frickin' ride. I don't see her often enough either. Best friend or not, she's got her life, married, 2 new kids, and I'm just the supporting actor for her." He's got some broken down paragraphs here with subtitles. He says, "For everyone," with a question mark, "I have a motto, happy to help anytime. This is the purpose in my life, and the Jeep I recently got, July 22 edition, just means I can be helpful more. I work hard at a great job where I try not to get sucked into imposter syndrome and offer the best possible support daily. It's hard. The depression offers a sucker punch every few days, and this triggers overeating and self-loathing. I had a doctor and he moved away. Good luck with finding another. For me now, I'm learning French online. Who am I kidding though? I'm doing it to help strengthen the bonds in our family. I was one of 5 siblings, the baby. 2 have passed, including my brother, only weeks ago in Quebec. I'm fine, I think." Next subtitle, "Just do it." "Some messed up part of my psyche won't let me stay on track, but I am trying. I need to lose weight to take care of me. Everything costs too much, and I must lose weight. I absolutely must, like 200 pounds. I am surviving. That's all I can do. My most affordable option, in quotes, is to build a Jeep compatible, less than 3,500 pounds trailer that will let me work from anywhere in Canada. I do not know how I'll do that, but at least I have the Starlink already. I figure I have a couple of years to get things sorted and clear out my apartment. I still need to find a place to work on the trailer and the money for it. Right now, the need is to pay off my debt so I can get this done. So often, I just feel so entirely fucked. But that's not being positive. I am trying to be positive. I must be. I will succeed. Thank you, Matthew, for listening, being a great example to the lucky community, and following your dreams. By the way, my brother keeps suggesting I transform a bus. I love the idea, but geesh, where would I convert that? Thank you, Matthew, for being you. Take care, Cameron." The Jeep below is Sandra D. We are in a committed relationship, as all Jeep lovers are. I hope you don't mind, Cam, but I'm going to share this one big picture of her. That's a beautiful color on that Jeep too. And this photo is, I believe, when you just got her up in Whitehorse in the Yukon, July 18th, 2022. Thank you very much for writing in, Cam, and sharing that with me. I've gotten bits and pieces through our conversation. Obviously, we do talk quite frequently on Patreon and Instagram. What I find interesting about the way you present yourself is it seems, and I could be wrong, take everything I say with a grain of salt, obviously. I'm not trying to project anything, but you seem like you got a very similar brain to me in the way it works, in the sense that you're very aware of what you're going through, the feelings that you're feeling, and the ups and the downs, and you're still focused on an actual solution. I'm 100% happy that you weren't successful back in 1989. I think the world would have been a much darker place had you been. So, and I'm sure your kids probably feel the same way. And you've spoken very highly of your kids to me. And I guess we've got that in common. We've got some sort of unspoken line between us as fathers. And it's important that you stick that through for sure. And you also got this deal with your best friend. So 49 years ago sounds pretty damn good to me. And it sucks that you're going through that, you're feeling all the things that you're feeling, but stay focused, right? Stay focused on you, stay focused on what you want. And it's not about not being positive. You can 100%, what did you say? You so often just feel so entirely effed. And then you said that's not being positive. No, but we all have days like that. I have days like that. My message of being positive doesn't mean ignoring the negativity or sticking your head in the sand or turning a blind eye to the negative things in your life, whether they are people, experiences, or even feelings that you're having yourself. You've got to sort of take the good with the bad. My whole point of my message is it's so easy to get lost in the bad stuff that's what you focus on, and that was what ultimately becomes a person's downfall, in my opinion. That's what I was feeling when I was focusing on all the negativity in my life, and when I realized enough is enough. I just need to be positive. It makes me feel better when I am that way, and I think you kind of get that. So thank you for writing in, Cam, and everybody else who did. I'm going to leave this entry here. If you would like to share your story, or even if you if you've got any feedback for Cam, Lisa, or Katherine, please do so in the comments of this video. That's what I love about this community, is that everybody's got a story to share. Even if you're not willing to write in and send it to me to be read here on the channel, I've seen stories being shared in the comments section, which I hope everybody is reading and getting a little something out of. I said a long time ago that I think the internet is a really incredible tool, and we're very fortunate to have it because it connects us in a way that just would not have been possible years ago. And if you would like to share your story with me and have me read it here in a future entry of sharing your stories, please do not hesitate to do so. You can send it into the email address vanlifepluscontact@gmail.com. And until the next one, everybody, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive. And I'll see you all in the next one.